Good evening and welcome to the October 17th Budget Committee meeting. Tonight we have a couple items on the agenda that we'd like to go over. On the agenda for departmental budgets was the road commissioner and tarring. We did not receive any submission for the 2025 year from the road commissioner, so we will look at what expended in 2024 and determine if we'll keep it the same, or unless the select board knows of anything up and coming that may change that. So, but right now we have nothing posted for 2025 for that department. The other department that was here tonight was EMA. Ray is working. I do have his budget. I can try to walk you guys through it. There's a slight increase of $340 over the 2024. A lot of that stems from two things. One, as you know, I'm not sure if you guys are aware, but Ray's been working with Katie to establish a shelter and a warming center here. And he has two personnel that have gone through the shelter course. So he added salaries in for those two individuals, should that be needed, whether it's a warming center here this winter or a cooling station for the summer. The other piece that's here is the generator. There is a portable generator here in town. It was shared by the fire district, the water district, and it's an EMA. Now that the fire department has their own generator at the new station, they have asked EMA to turn that back over. The last time it was maintenance was, I think, 2021. So he put in there $1,500 to have that generator serviced. It does run the water district when the town is without power. So he does take that down there. It is also capable of running this building if this building were to ever become wired to run a generator. So it does serve its purpose and when the town goes. So those are the two big items that he has increased in his budget for, and overall it's just a $340 increase. So, any questions on that budget? Okay. We received some correspondence. It's this email. It was a COLA increase question. It was received on October 8th. It was submitted to the Budget Committee along with the Board of Selectmen. In regarding to the COLA, for those that are unaware, the COLA increase does not take effect into people's paychecks until after the vote in March. And then the town treasurer has to go back and basically retroactively pay everyone back to the January 1st date. The request is to, especially this year because we have 2 days in December that will flow into the January pay period. The request is to just make that COLA increase effective January 1st. Since the town has already voted back in 2018 to allow the COLA increases to just happen. In order for this to happen, I think a few things need to transpire. There are several budgets that have been submitted by the department heads that have additional salary increases over and above the COLA. So the question becomes is we need to break those out, and I believe the Board of Selectmen needs to prove those as merit increases should they be warranted. But I don't have a dollar figure for you right now as to how much that is. And I don't know if Julie would have the time to help designate that. The trick is, and I'm just going to pick on the fire department, they have levels of salary all over the place, right? I don't know who's what, where, and when. Honestly, I don't know their level of service or their level of pay. So to say that typically what we do with the fire department is I just say, this is what they spent last year, this is the COLA increase, is it in a line? Is it in an agreement? So it's just something to think about. I think the board should probably discuss how they want to handle that. But any thoughts from the budget committee on either having it a separate article, separate line for merit increases, broken out, things like that?
I think the COLA should be a separate altogether, and then if there's additional on top of that, then it should go under merit, but I think that should be determined by the select board.
And correct me if I'm wrong, John, and you guys are in the room, and Gil, merit increases fall within the purview of the select board, right?
Correct.
Okay, so that would be one question as to whether or not you would approve that type of merit increase or that value of the merit increase as proposed by the manager. That is not something that is within the purview of the budget committee. We have simply been asked to apply the COLA.
I guess it depends on what position it is.
It would be all of them that you would look at.
Well, the treasurer's asked for an increase in pay. Treasurer's elected. We don't, it's not our say whether she's presented a budget for her department with her request. If we disagree, I think we can recommend a no vote, but I don't think we can decide whether or not she's entitled to that merit increase. That's up to the, that's up to the voters. That she's elected like we're elected.
John brings
How do we control her? I think there are employees in the town that we have
Well, that's what I'm saying.
some oversight
I mean,
over, but
I think John brings up a good point, that when they're submitting their budgets for their salaries, they're already increased.
yes.
So I think,
But town employees do fall within the purview of the board for merit increases.
town employees,
Town employees.
yes.
The fire department, the library, code, all of those fall within
Transportation.
transfer station.
If one of those people said, hey, we want to give X amount of merit, we could say, we disagree with that, and we vote against it. I think we could do that. I don't think we can do that for an elected official.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think that just needs to go in their salary line with what they're asking for, and just separate out the COLA, put it at 2.5.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we agreed back in 2018 that we would follow the COLA board. But again, like John said, you know, I don't know, when the treasurer presented her budget, John, she had indicated that the Board of Selectmen had agreed upon this wage increase at her time of hire. Is that?
She was never hired, she was elected.
Well,
When she came on.
Okay,
she
or
said-
elected.
She basically said, when she was elected, she said, I don't like the rate of pay. And we said, well, we don't control that, that's what's there.
Mhm.
That if there were going to be an increase, it would have to be in the following budget year.
Okay, so she submitted for that
So She
increase.
submitted for that. Now, how we include that in the budget, I think that's something that the people should decide whether,
Mhm.
and, I mean, I hate to single that position out, but,
But the same could be said for our town clerk and tax collector,
I mean,
a road commissioner.
there are things, you know, the town clerk and tax collector have done it. I mean, they've increased their pay in their budget, and it gets voted in or it gets voted out. Now,
Now, let me ask a different question. Are they eligible for the COLA increase as elected officials?
I think they are, because
Because all it says is an employee annual cost of living. It doesn't say that it applies to both.
well, that's because that's where it gets sticky to the
Right.
fact that everywhere else in the world, in the tax world, they're considered employees, right? IRS, state of Maine, workman's comp, the whole thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Any of those people get hurt, they're gonna get workman's comp, right? That's employee, they get employee taxes. So I would say that if they are entitled to the COLA, I would say that they would have a strong argument for that, and I think they would win it. Now,
Is this something we need to look into?
The ask is to apply this COLA increase January 1st instead of waiting until the vote in March and having the treasurer go back and recalculate.
that, I mean,
And so,
that, assuming, hopefully we're over to a payroll company at that point. And that really should be pushing a couple buttons, even if it is, even our own treasurers do it. I mean, they should be able to know how many hours a person worked between January 1st and March 15th.
yeah, I don't
And
know.
that's what hours they worked, and this is how much they were paid, and COLA is 2.5%. It's multiple, I mean, it's not, I'm not opposed to putting it in early, it doesn't make any difference, I could care less one way or the other, I'm just saying, I don't think that it's like some big multi-day project that has to go, I mean.
I,
Wait 3 weeks to get it.
Excuse me?
we do, it took
Wait 3
It
weeks.
took us almost 6 weeks to get the COLA increase in 2024.
And usually it was always 3.
And I will tell you that it was wrong. So,
Again, I think if we asked the treasurer to do that, she would do it.
right, so
I
like,
don't-
again,
I don't think
it's
it's going to be voted on.
a decision of the board. You guys can decide if you want to ask and approve that or not. It was just correspondence that had come into the budget committee, so I wanted to address that here. I don't think it's whether or not you want to do it.
I would have no problem with it beginning, January 1 for the typical COLA. Maybe if it's got if there's merit increases that have to be approved by the town, those should be held off.
And, I mean, if you're waiting 6 weeks or 3 weeks after March, you roll into April, that means you're getting 4 months worth. It could affect the tax too, right? You're gonna get taxed higher on that bigger amount being paid all in 1 week.
Right.
So, I mean, it would wash out in the end, but you're better off just putting it in the first of the year and being done with it.
Right, so I don't know if you need to talk about that at a selectmen's meeting and vote on it. Let us know. But what we will do is look at the budgets as if they were a 2.5% increase.
Again, I hate to single out one position.
Well, what we could do is put the difference, John, on another line.
Well, I'm talking about like the merit increases.
Mm-hmm.
Should those be a separate, I hate to make that one small item a separate line, but if people disagree with a significant merit increase, the only way to do it is to vote down the whole article. Right?
Well, the other question is do you put salary and the taxes associated, the FICA, into its own article?
What
and
do you put in for each department in its own article, or
No,
altogether?
altogether one article, this is what we pay out in salaries.
Again, which is fine, I think it should be per department, so you know what each department's spending.
Mm-hmm,
I think it's a lot easier, I wouldn't lump it all together.
okay.
But again, if you did that, and there is a significant raise somewhere for somebody, the only option is to vote down all those salaries.
Yeah,
right, or allow the raise.
but that's the risk you take when someone puts in for a significant merit increase. But I do think that we should tell the people who's getting merit increases versus just the COLA and let them decide.
Yeah, separate line, like on the green sheet.
Mm-hmm, on the green sheet. Yep.
Would be acceptable, yeah.
Yeah, a separate line on the green sheets. Okay, so I do have a couple of other things that I just want to try to get on the selectmen's agenda. One is the State of Maine FMLA. that takes effect January 1st, 2025. I'm not well versed in it. I believe it affects everybody, where even though the benefit doesn't take place until 2026, the state will start collecting the money January 1st, 2025. It is like 1% of the pay, and because we have over 15 employees, the employer can pay 0.5%, and the employee can pay 0.5%. But we have to have a decision on if the town's gonna pay the full 1%, or if the employee's gonna pay half, or, because again, that goes back to the fact that none of these budgets have that cost associated with it. And that's gonna affect, and again, it's based on their, I believe it's based on their salary. So again, it goes back to the merit increases versus the COLA increases to how much you're gonna pay people. Because this will increase if we give large merit increases. So I'm not well versed in it. I would ask that the select board kind of read up on it and make a decision on how we want to handle that so that we can budget accordingly for 2025, because I believe that deduction starts January 1st.
So they deduct it starting in 25, so that you can build up, I'm assuming it gives you a year to build up a nest egg,
Yes,
start paying it in 2026.
yes. But again, is the town going to pay the full 1%, or are we going to split it with the employees, where the employees have it deducted? That's a decision you guys are going to have to decide upon.
That, and as far as, people getting merit raises, that deduction would happen on when they were paid on the paycheck, not necessarily.
Starts on their January 1st paycheck, so,
But it would affect, if somebody is on a merit raise, if that doesn't go in effect until March or April, then when it would actually be deducted, if they were getting the 0.5%, it would be deducted when it was paid. It wouldn't have to be an accrual.
no, they would actually start to lose money January 1st, because that deduction actually goes into effect there on 1/1.
I'm assuming,
It would take place when they actually got the pay.
Right.
I'm assuming that money goes into a pool for everybody, it's not what you put aside for
You
your.
know, I read something like it's like a pass-through to the state. You have to pay the state that money. They're collecting it to set up the administration. Cost?
Right, yeah, that's.
Does that make sense? That they're collecting our money ahead of time, John? So that they so we're funding it a year before it starts, so that they can so that they have administrative costs covered.
And to build up their fund.
And to probably build up the fund. That's how I took that when I was reading about it, but
So it's based on your salary amount?
it's based on, yes, it's based on your
So
pay.
initially, it could go up. I mean, it's just gonna go up in April.
This is confusing, but I think.
It is confusing.
It says, the employer and employee contributions to the state fund will begin January 1st, 2025.
Yes,
The state will also begin assessing a 1% payroll tax to contribute to the fund. Is that 1% on top of 1%?
I don't know.
Is that what I'm reading?
I don't know.
It looks like the state's gonna whack everybody for 1%, and then you gotta contribute 1% on top of it. I mean, whatever the town's share is, I would advocate for the town paying 1%, not taking 0.5% from everybody and.
Yeah, I don't know if the board I think the board probably needs to vote on that. I don't know. It's just one of those things, it's kind of like the earned time leave. Do we put it in its own designated account? because we know it's a pass-through that we have to collect and pay the state, or what do we, how do we set it up and what do we do with it? So just trying to have that answer by 1/1/2025, when we all get our paychecks and potentially see a deduction, we're like, what is that? Because you may want to communicate that to employees too, that it's not you guys taking away their money.
No, it's the state.
It's the state under your new, I don't know if you wanted to send out any type of, information to the employees. Just,
Yeah, we probably first have to decide, how it's going to be divvied up, whether it's going to be a partial employee contribution for their 0.5%. So I think that has to be decided.
right.
And then it probably should be a separate line item, just like the paid family leave.
Mhm. Yeah, so we'd have to talk to Julie about making sure we set up its own account. That would fall under the purview of the select board's increased article count.
And on the budget as well.
And on the budget, and make sure we have that accounted for. I don't know a lot about it, other than it's there, and it's going to be painful, I think, the first year as we,
Yeah, well, like I said, I think I mentioned last week, I'm familiar with how they administered it in Massachusetts, because I do a lot of business down there.
yeah,
And, that's basically what happens. It is a withholding from the employee, but it's a very small amount. 1% is, a few bucks on
Right.
on a typical paycheck, but,
but at the time when everybody's getting dinged a few bucks here and a few bucks there, it starts to add up, everybody getting dinged, so, but just want to make sure we're covered from a town perspective and that expense budgeted for.
can you make sure that's on?
Yeah, I got it. We'll put them both, I'll put them both on.
We talked about putting the earned time leave in its own article. We'll just need help calculating that.
I started writing out those things from everybody's templates. But I also, and I found in our personnel policy that elected officials aren't entitled to EPL.
They are not entitled to
So I think
EPL.
that's in our treasurer's budget
It is.
too.
That needs to come out.
Yeah.
She's not, elected officials are not entitled to
Yeah.
that.
So I have started that, or have started the times that people had on there.
Okay. The other thing is, as we start to move into the selectmen's articles, I was just browsing the contracts that are out on the website and noticed that there are several that are either expired, expiring, or will expire in 2025. Will we have updated contracts to match to the budget articles? For example, the Animal Welfare Society expired in December of 2023. That's the one that's on the budget. I don't know if it's going to be the same amount, if there's an increase. I don't know that we can finalize the animal control officer without a new contract with Kennebunk Welfare Society, if that's who we remain with. The plowing of the town-owned properties expires in May of 2025. Are we going to be looking to do something there, just so that we make sure that the budget that we're putting in under these articles, we have a contract to make sure that we've got it fully funded and funded appropriately for the budget season?
Yeah, we'll have to make suppositions there. And if we suppose wrong, then we'll just have to bring it to a special town meeting to have an increase over and above what we're...
Well, no, usually when we take the town, like the town buildings,
The town buildings, yeah,
so we've got a contract through May of 2025.
yes.
We budget that whole amount for the whole year through December, right? So in June or July, we get a new contract.
If it's an increase, you come back with an article
If it's
to,
an increase, we have enough money in that entire amount to pay through the rest of the year. We just make it up in the budget of 2026.
Unless at the end of the season.
unless the end of the season you have no money,
Unless we,
unless you go over budget.
in the end of
Yeah,
the.
then we have to bring it to the town.
Right. then we could, I mean, if the, like you said, we go out to new contract, if we know that it's going to be more and we need that, we can put it on the ballot,
Mhm.
either, depending on when we do that.
I was just, I mean, like, but for the animal control officer, we don't have, it expired in December of
The new one's
2023.
on her template.
That was the same amount, and she had sent me an email saying she does not know the amount of the Animal Welfare Society because we don't have an existing contract with them.
What's the amount that's on her? Do you have the templates up there?
I thought it was 4,000, and which is the amount that's on the existing contract that expired in 2023. So if I look at, animal
I
control.
thought I updated,
Yeah,
yeah,
I
we
would-
just got a new one.
I would check, the new one right now.
I thought I updated it like that next day on her template.
Okay,
I'm
So-
pretty sure it's.
okay, so now it's updated at 5,143
Yeah. I just need to, I'll put the contract on.
on the website. Yeah, because that's what I'm looking to make sure that we have these expenses covered. So, okay. So that increases her budget, or slightly decreases her budget a little bit. I don't know why it decreased. It shouldn't have. Something's wrong with the math on her spread template.
Oh, not adding up, doesn't look right.
Not adding up, no. Everything's an increase, but the 2025 budget is lower than the 2024. But all the 25 numbers are an increase. So we'll figure out the template later. Okay. In the absence of other, of the other department heads, I did ask Alicia if you guys were ready to talk about a few of the selectmen's articles, just to keep things moving in a positive. She did hand us, the snow removal for the roads. I believe that's under contract for, does that run out in 2026? I can't remember when that one's out.
It says 5/126 on it.
Okay, 5/1/2026, okay. So, yeah, and so, the increase is, we've now built in Dog Road into that increase. Is there any other town roads that will be coming and being asked to be put on? Do we know? Okay,
Haven't heard of any.
okay. So that's the contract.
Well, the drive's gonna be,
What's that?
the drive will be done.
Okay.
I mean,
So, that's up for, you've got a buyer for Alair Drive, is that a
we're
fair?
working on it already.
We're working on, okay.
They bought the lots, now working on the road.
So that, what is it, a quarter of a mile, John, that will be added to the,
Yeah,
whatever
whatever that loop is.
that loop is?
And
So-
that won't happen until, well, and we'll have to accept it as a town road, so
Mm-hmm,
for now, the developer's gonna have to plow it.
okay,
So we may not even accept it, maybe, by the time they put the final paving coat, it might be next year.
it'll probably be next year. Okay. Alair Drive in 2025, possibly. Okay,
I think Kristen's budget is, because it doesn't have COLA or FICA yet,
okay.
by, not
I just-
losing my mind at least.
No, I just have, I was like,
Well, I have a
Glance.
minute, but yeah, because we didn't, that's not included yet.
so the next one is public areas. So this is the Tibbetts Memorial Park, Memorial Day, the cemeteries, buildings and grounds, the mowing contract. So the Mr. Maintenance contract ends in October of 2025. And then we're now is this new, the Highland Cemetery and Highland Annex? Is that new, that's a move into here? Where was it before?
No, it's just, oh, no, it had to have been in here before, because we had, who was the last ones that we had that did this? Yes, the Danes.
Yeah, I was
I
just,
just don't know if we did have it in this
Yes.
template or not. Did
I have to go back to the
we?
green sheet.
Katie and I talked about adding one for the flags,
Onto this under
just
supplies.
under supplies in this one for Washington and Maine.
Numbers don't add up on this one either.
Yeah, I know. Well, a lot of them they don't add up on, so.
I think it's a glitch in the templates.
Yep. I have to look. Buildings. Safety. Yeah. It could be that we just added a line.
Oh, you know what, there's 6120, 6,120.
That must be it, it doesn't have it.
It's just at the bottom.
Right.
Yeah, so that
Yeah.
was, the 6120 was the prior contract.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was gonna say, that,
And so-
it does add up, right, it's just,
Yeah.
it's,
So-
that one's on the wrong line, the 61.
The 6120 needs to be over in the 2025, right?
No,
that was-
4,800, it is less, the contract is
Oh.
less.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I mean,
It just
if
needs to
you
go
look
up
at
one
this,
line.
It adds up correctly, it's just, if you're looking at across, that's all.
What's the 3,000 in special services?
Is that, no, I don't know.
Why can I not find
A little bit of buffer.
Was that the, like, whatever that's.
Office desks.
I hate anything that says special
it?
services.
It says special services. It was here last year, so
Yeah.
I'm just curious what that was. It says contracted services. Special services contracted.
Did we spend it?
We didn't mark it last year.
The electric for the overlook's probably going up, yes. Yeah, I don't have the most up-to-date journal, expense detail report, so,
What, would it be on the expense one?
yes.
Summary?
If you spent it, I'd have to, it's in the, it would be in the detail, the
Yes.
expense detail report. I think mine's through 9:30.
I just got a new one the other day.
Oh, you got a new one yesterday?
Yes, I asked for a new one.
I haven't touched it.
No.
Okay.
No, I don't know what it is.
Just asking.
No, that's awful, because it's like, there had to have been something that it.
And the Mr. Maintenance contract, what does that cover for buildings?
That's the town owned
Properties like here, ball fields.
Okay.
Overlook.
Did we get the Grange Hall added to the town-owned properties for the mowing? Because the last time I knew it was not on there. And the grass was like at the waist-high level.
Get on his contract.
I'd have to look at his contract.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I don't know if we added that, would it cost more? But we should probably add all of the town-owned properties that we mow, or that we are continuing to keep.
Does
Last
anything
time,
else have grass? Does the Moore building, doesn't
the
have?
Moore building has a small patch out front and on the side, but I think that one was in the Moore building. I think that was in the Mr. Maintenance, where are ya? Mowing town properties contract, whoops.
Yeah. I don't think that it is. It doesn't sound.
The town hall, the gazebo, the municipal building, Tibbetts Park, and the ball fields. And then you have Scout Island by the Doughboy, some sidewalks on Washington Street, So even the Moore building is missing. So could we look at potentially adding at the Grange Hall? The Moore building, though, that grass seems to always be mowed. I don't know who, does the Historical Society kind of mow that or trim that back? It always just, it seems to be taken care of. But I will say the Grange Hall is quite high.
You think it's just pushable, or is it rideable? I can't picture it there.
It's a small lot, the Grange Hall is a small,
But the Grange House is actually heavy grass. I mean, we only had lots of scrub brush around it, and we had horrible trouble
With
with
the poison ivy.
poison ivy, but
it's got grass, John.
It's supposed to have grass.
That's why you have mice.
That's why you have mice in that building. Because we can't seem to, the mice are actually eating the ceiling tiles and the electrical wiring. If we could mow around it, it would be great to help keep the field mice out. And maybe cut down on the maintenance of that building for you by adding it to the mowing contract. Isaac spent a good deal of time up there this summer. He could probably tell you what type, I don't know what type of grass, I just know it's grass. There's stuff that needs to be cut around that building. So could we see about adding that to this mowing contract?
I wonder if it's easier to add to Jackson's.
Does the cemetery one? Or the contract's up in May, we make the update
just
and make sure that it's up to
contracts
date.
up.
Yeah.
Just add it with the new contracts up in May? I mean, you know,
It is.
It
Take yes,
Is it
but
up in, isn't his up in October? It's
this is up in October of 2020. This says a contract ends October of 2025.
It doesn't end in May, it's October.
I see that in 15 Sorry about that.
So I mean, you know, if you want to add it to the Highland Cemetery or the mowing guy for the Highland Cemetery, I don't care. But, you know, I do think that if we're going to have the mowing of town properties, it should include all town properties and public places. But,
Cost. Jackson.
We'll just have to, I think, sounds right, I'll figure that out.
I mean, his is already the one that I think we have to look at or amend,
Because of the number.
because we added in some that we ended up paying. We had the money, but we ended up paying for extra mowings in between, because it wasn't enough. So, that's why I wonder if that's the one maybe we can put into.
okay. Any questions so far from the rest of the committee? Yep. Sorry, I feel like I'm hoarding the meeting. The next budget is the administrative costs here, that you have. The one thing that I will ask is, I see the lease for the copier. The library owns their current copier. When they presented their budget, that copier is very outdated and very old. Could we add the library to this lease versus purchasing another copier or getting a different lease with a different company?
I mean, leasing one instead of buying one?
I think the thing is they have a lot of people who make copies
Yeah.
upstairs, like public, and
And part of the problem, according to Cindy, is they come in and they expect it to be Bluetooth, or they expect it to be able to send an email or something to their copier. Right now, they're sending the email to Cindy. Cindy's having to then send it to the copier. It's taking a lot of her time. And then some people are very sensitive about the topics that they're printing. They don't necessarily want to share. So again, it goes back to, if we're going to offer this as a service, which she does charge for the copies, okay? I won't say I don't think we make any money printing copies for public. But it is a service that she does offer, but that machine up there is at the end of its life cycle.
I don't know all of the details of this lease, but I do know that like over a certain amount,
It's an overage.
the charge is,
So we would have to look at that, especially if we added.
right. It
Yeah.
might make
But I also
sense
think
to
that my
update
copier
there.
is not like, do you send the people down to me? Does she have to come, do they have to come down every time? I don't.
Yeah, they're open Saturday mornings too, so that would.
Don't we lease a second one somewhere? Is it, do I have that one leased one?
I mean, everybody has one in their office.
Yeah, but why? I mean, I'm just asking, I mean, it's not like you have to go 5 miles down the road to get a copy, you know what I mean? Could you put a copier in a general location, you know, and cut down? Because we also have the planning board asking for their own copier printer, because she doesn't want to walk from her office into the selectman's office. So she's put that into her budget as well. So we're starting to see a lot of people who want their own personal items in their own personal space, which is going to cost a lot of money to have them and a lot of maintenance.
I like visitors.
I'm just thinking a lot
I
of,
think my office is just, it makes the most sense because it just has the space for it.
I mean, but when you start talking individuals,
I agree.
you're gonna spend toner, paper, you know, all of this expenses, the maintenance.
Which is why, I mean, I know that we don't make money off it, but to charge for the copies,
She does charge.
I think is reasonable, because it does help with those expenses. We don't wanna stop anybody from being able to do that, but is it possible just to price a new copier? A more up-to-date one, because I don't.
I'm gonna tell you, the copiers aren't the expense, the ink.
It's the toner and
Ink
the
is
toner.
I
insane.
don't know. I have a really good printer copier thingy with ink that lasts forever.
Oh, I think it is. When I order ink for anybody, it's mind
The
blowing.
copies are awful, but.
I think part of the issue would be, you know, when they would have access to, are they gonna have to come downstairs from the library? Like I say, they're open Saturday mornings, and I know you're not there on Saturdays, so.
No, I mean, it could be moved out into the, I just don't know if it's a reasonable expectation for them, that's all.
It's
They
usually,
have
in
somebody-
business, it's by floor.
Yeah, you have one per floor.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if there was gonna be one in a public area, just to be used by anybody, maybe in that hallway outside the library.
But you also can have a printer that's counting the copies. You
Yeah.
have a code, so you could prove whether you're at least covering the cost. Because we're not Staples.
No, I barely bet it's covering if you really figured it out.
No, I just,
And it's taking up space in email, and it's causing employee time, and I didn't know we were a service organization in the copy business. Wow. That's a while.
If that's a benefit that the library offers, I mean, there's a lot of people need copies. I don't think that's not,
Or they just need to have something printed out.
400 copies you do a year for citizens. And what we should be doing is, when we do buy a copier, match something that's already in the building. Because
well, you're leasing your copier, you've got,
the one we don't release, that is what it
Okay.
is. I know that we just bought one for the code office.
okay.
She got a printer copier. I don't know how that compares to the one that's in the library. I don't know if the one in the library, is the one in the library like a really big one, like in your office, or is it?
I think so.
I honestly don't know if I've ever seen it.
It's a little thing.
I know. Is it just
So
a
probably big.
top one? Okay. In the last 3 years I've been here.
Perhaps she gets one to match the one that just went in the code office, which matched the one that just came out, which moved to the other side of the code office. So the one that wasn't working great is good enough to put the other side of the code office and still be used, but we matched it. I mean, if you want to, because they do die, right?
Yeah, they do, but that's why I'm saying.
You pay, like you said, the copies aren't cheap, but when it dies, you could be throwing out $400, $500, $600 worth of ink or toner
No, I get it returned.
that went with it, that we don't have a copy anymore. So we should start some
But I agree, it was nice, if the printers could, some of them could be the same.
So we ought to take a look and see if she needs one, see if matching it to the one that just went in the code office it wasn't that expensive.
No.
And if the planning board thinks they need one, let's at least get the same one, right? Because it's not the copiers,
It's the ink, it's the toner.
If the ink it's
We might as well try to keep it consistent.
increased, it's just crazy.
Maybe we buy a little more bulk and get a saving, I don't know, but they should be the same.
I just know that Cindy had mentioned when she presented her budget that she would really like something also that the people could come in, and if they had an email that they wanted to print, they didn't necessarily have to bother her, whether it was Bluetooth enabled or something.
Wi-Fi.
Or Wi-Fi enabled, something, so that they didn't have to turn around and email her their personal document, then it's on the town server, then they have to delete it, it's still probably on the town server, you know what I mean? Because there are people that have those privacy.
I think a lot of the new ones are too, or it's
Yeah.
easy
99%
enough.
are Wi-Fi, I mean,
Or get them
Or
now.
Wi-Fi,
I'm sure
so,
hers is just old enough that,
hers is very old,
Yeah.
from what I
I
understand.
mean, if
well, you
somebody
can't get them
has,
without it now.
I got one in the front seat of my truck.
Go get it.
If you have,
He uses for his
if you have an email on your phone, anybody could print it. So if somebody came in with an email,
Right,
the.
they select that as their printer,
To the,
Yeah.
and copy it, so it doesn't have to be sent. And
right,
it's not that difficult to do, it's pretty simple.
right. I just,
Yeah.
we're just seeing the request for more and more individual electronics, and that was my concern, is everybody has, I want a Canon, I want an Epson, I want, the Epsons are great, but
Consistency is a good idea.
I think consistency is the key, so, okay. Just wanted to put that out there. And I see modem waves is going up significantly.
We increased their hours.
We should have increased their hours.
Yeah.
We have a lot going on here. Okay. And the web hosting for A+, isn't that your email exchange? And isn't that going away now that we have Microsoft 360?
No, isn't that just the website?
Or is that the website?
Just the website, Gail?
It says web,
Exchange is a separate line item.
mm,
It's a separate thing. It's not, has nothing to do with.
it says website hosting A+ net.
Plus, that's-
Right, but up above, it's got Microsoft
And that's the one
Exchange.
that's free. You're going
Okay.
to email that you're going to pay for,
Okay.
$4 to $8 per user.
Is that why modem waves went up? Or is that because we increased his hours?
You haven't even got it in the budget.
No, I thought we did put it in the budget for
I don't
modem.
know. Did you?
Well, I wrote down Microsoft Exchange email.
Okay.
Yes, but 10 licenses, and then there's no amount next to it.
We're gonna add, Microsoft licenses is for the 10 people on this floor.
Okay.
Exchange is gonna be for everyone who has email. And it's gonna be $4 per month or $8 per month for exchange, per user for that. And it's well over $1,000.
I think the 6,000 includes those things, system administration, Microsoft, there's like Microsoft
That could-
Exchange email.
That could be.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that's why I
But
wrote
it
it
will be
like that.
a separate bill.
Okay. So not only is it an increase in hours, it is a change to Microsoft. Okay.
And that will change, well, in December. Supposed to get our new email.
Is he going to be more responsive to people?
I can't make any promises.
Just that. Okay, because, anyway.
What's the $385 for group dynamics?
We go over this every time, don't we? And we never remember.
It was,
We looked it up last time. I gotta
That's
make
not
a.
John Cleveland's company.
No, we,
It was
that's what I
It
thought.
was, yeah.
It's not, it's, God, drives me crazy. I need to put a note next to it because we looked it up last year or when we first started talking about these and then we were like, oh yeah.
it's a contracted service for
It
something.
is, I just can't remember what,
Because we did talk about it last year. You looked it up.
I know. I don't remember where I ended up finding it. I'm gonna ask Julie to look it up because I do want to
it's definitely something we need, and I just don't remember what it was.
I want to say it was like your benefits administration, wasn't it, or something?
It might be something with
I think
benefits.
yeah,
I think you're right.
I want to say it was benefits related, like
We're
they,
gonna cut it out, and then we're like,
and then we're like, no, we can't do that. The next item is general assistance. That seems to be staying the same from the 2024 budget.
Yeah, I think we increased it last year, so it should probably stay the same. I haven't heard of going over dramatically this year.
Okay.
well, the
Winter's the rough part,
and it all,
and it all varies. We've had a very, so far, knock on,
and the good thing is too, right, like, so if they do qualify,
we get reimbursed.
70% back, so it, you know,
Well,
it's one of
then
those.
Carroll has their program that they take care of some people with that too.
Yeah, I don't know how well that did last year, actually, because Ron kind of handled that. Like, he did, he got a lot from that, and last year I don't think, but there is the York County Community Action, there's a few other things that, and actually we tailor off each other to, but.
The next article, or next warrant item is the health insurance. For me, it's always the 6 people that are opting out that we give a benefit to, that I'm just trying to understand where that comes from. And I know that if they took it, but what I'm understanding is those that are opting out are also covered by other people's or other insurances.
Right.
And so they're taking this, and to me, it's a $6,000 pay raise.
So my understanding was
I
that,
think 7 people.
Oh, it says 6 employees opting out.
Sorry, I
6.
think, yeah, it should be 6.
7? So now we've increased it to 7 employees opting out
yeah,
at $6,000 each, right? Or is that more?
It's 5, yeah, I think it's $500 a month.
yeah, but we had something, is it in the personnel policy about this? It's, they have to have another insurance plan to qualify, and the policy, wherever it is, actually says we have to have confirmation of that. If I
thought that went away.
remember.
Right, but at
I
$500
thought
a month.
we were talking about sunsetting this benefit and not offering it anymore.
I'm not opposed to
It'll take care of itself if some of these people, that especially if they're on Social Security, as they age out and we get somebody new in here, then offering the...
No, that doesn't matter. I mean, if I apply for the position and I'm under Ray's health insurance, I can still take the $6,000.
I know, I think they've added the newest people are getting this.
The newest people are now getting the $6,000. It's not sunsetting. We're actually seeing it,
Yeah.
more people taking it and getting covered under their spouses or significant others.
Yeah, but it should just say that.
I mean, I know that the cafeteria plans were something that was years ago, but a lot of companies are saying, either you take our insurance or you don't, end of conversation.
I think we should look at changing the policy for anybody new coming in. I think it's unfair to pull it out from somebody that's getting it now and just say we're now just taking this away. And it should not, when we originally talked about this, the plan was that it was to supplement, if they didn't take our insurance and somebody went on their spouses and it cost them an extra $2 or $3 a month to go on their spouses, they could use this money for that. They could use this money towards a deductible of another insurance. They could use it, but I...
Are you making sure that they're using it for qualified medical purposes?
No, we're not, but we should.
We should.
I think it should be changed that anybody coming in new, it should be a reimbursement towards your spouse's policy
Up to a certain dollar.
up to a certain dollar amount, right? But, I don't know, to pull it out from somebody just because we're taking this away from you now.
Yeah, but I just don't know that the rules are being followed
No,
for
and
this.
that, it definitely says they have to provide proof of other health insurance monthly, which I've not heard of that. Can we pull this policy so that we can work to update it?
Yeah, I'm looking at, we can, I can put on the agenda, we can look at it.
And we are not seeing an increase in our health insurance is going from 25,000 to 28,000. So we're seeing a little bit of an increase, but
Did you just do a percentage update on that?
What was it,
The
sorry?
health insurance, you just
Yes,
did,
I
yeah.
just did a
an estimate.
percentage.
it's an estimate. When do we get the actual costs?
We can call them and they'll tell us, they'll give us they'll say we can't guarantee, but we believe it's going to be, so you can call them MMA and they'll give you an idea.
Okay. And then I believe the final article is the professional and legal services. This is always a fun one because of legal.
Which didn't change, right?
No.
Well, 6,000.
It went up, but
A little bit.
a lot of that is your auditing firm,
MMA went up.
and MMA went up on their association dues.
Yeah.
What do we use Southern Maine Planning and Development for?
I'll do it, Scott. No, can't, because that would be in his budget.
Nope, it is
I can't, I
the
know.
plowing, so I know it, the salt and sand, right, isn't that, I remember, Dottie.
What's,
So last year, it's essentially the commission that helps with determining the rate of the salt for the municipalities.
mhm.
Where we get the rate, we get the.
We get it from them
lower
anyways.
rate.
Yeah, and Dottie, I think, if I'm not.
But we don't buy the salt and sand for plowing.
No, but they get the rate because we agree to it. If we elect to be in that,
So we paid $1,200.
$1,200 for that?
well, that looks like it's just to be part of the commission. I don't know anything
I mean, that's,
specific.
they do a lot of other stuff that we may not take
Advantage of. I know the planning board has,
And say, get emails all the time,
Um,
Scott.
I think they have a little bit of this in their budget as well. I know that they've taken advantage of using them to help write ordinances or do things, Southern Maine Planning.
Did we get an email about getting into the salt program this year? Because last year we got.
We talked, you talked about the town buying the salt and sand, but instead of the contractors buying the salt and
Well, the
sand.
town does buy it, and that they take it out of the contractors.
Right.
He
Are these
pays
the
for it.
ones that send the salt thing?
Yes. And we have
Because
some
people do
last
not
year,
like us.
we specifically, last year,
Outreach,
they
yeah, I remember.
let us in after the fact,
Yes.
but they were supposed to, we gave them all new email addresses last year,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
opt in for this year.
And it was, the deadline was like 10/15, wasn't it?
Who
I don't
gets
know,
the
did you get
emails?
Last year?
I just remember like, we needed, that was when everything for the contract, the plow contract was needed, and we should have had that agreement already.
I'll find out tomorrow.
You can reach out to, there's a woman's name there, she's pretty good.
Yeah, I'll look at that too.
The policy does say on the health insurance, they will be reimbursed upon presentation of proof of other health insurance monthly. So they have to prove that they have health insurance. They don't necessarily have to prove that they're helping pay for it,
Right.
but they have to at least prove they have health insurance.
Right, but that's what I'm saying.
But if it's for reimbursement, then it would be for the amount, not necessarily the flat.
Except that the policy says $500, it doesn't
It's
say up
fixed.
to, which we need to
Which
do.
is, right, I mean, And that's where I'm going. If it's costing you $300, or costing me $300 to go on my husband's insurance, I'm making out like a bandit of $200 a month.
That can go towards your deductible.
But I don't prove that I ever use my deductible. I don't have to prove that I'm using it for medical expenses. I could be using it for anything.
We should at least be getting what we're asking for, which is proof of insurance.
Yeah, and I don't know that we're doing that.
And moving forward, we may want to consider changing the policy to say it is a reimbursement up to,
A certain dollar amount.
upon proof of presentation of
Mm-hmm.
expense.
Right.
For new people coming in,
Yeah, put a beginning date.
starting it.
And then I see, well, legal services hasn't changed, but I thought we came awfully close to that balance, didn't we? Are you not expecting any more legal?
We should be good.
We should be okay? Okay. And then, of course, Trio, the payroll, the web support. I'm just curious when we're going live with some of the Trio testing that we did this year. That they came in, I believe, in April and put everything into a sandbox for testing.
So they have, I think it's the 7th, November 7th, there's a training
Okay?
for them all. Then the 20th, don't quote me for sure, I'm pretty sure it's November 20th at 5 o'clock. They're gonna have, Trio's gonna run reports. And then Trio Live will start on Thursday, the 21st.
Of November?
Yes.
Okay, so that's when everything that we've been testing in the 2024 fiscal year will go live. Is that going to affect end of month or anything that,
I know all of the Trio users know. I mean, these are dates that I've just been CC'd on
okay?
emails, so they really had the,
And then the next step is to take advantage of the Trio payroll module? Is that the next step once this goes live?
Yep.
right?
I mean, we're paying for it.
And that was something.
Well, Julie said we weren't paying for
Right.
it,
We're paying
so.
for we're not paying for the actual payroll services.
Oh, well, it says Trio payroll 9,500, so that's what I
I
was,
think that's what they quoted us, the cost.
That's gonna be,
So we put it in now, but I guess we didn't
because it said it says it was in the 2024.
it wasn't, we didn't
Yeah.
use it because we didn't actually use their payroll service.
We
Okay.
were going to, but then we were waiting for the new treasurer.
Yeah,
Okay, and now you're waiting, we're doing system upgrades, we're bringing the system up to the standards,
I think the goal is to
Utilize.
start at the beginning of the year, right?
Yes.
the payroll.
Yeah.
and then you'll move the payroll. So will that will that reduce the number of transactions to some degree that the treasurer has to do? Or could we then use, I think you and I had talked about it, a more automated time clock where they just download it versus her manually calculating time?
She offers I don't hold you to it. Their payroll processing company
Mhm.
will offer some sort of online, like punch in, punch out.
I believe I remember that
I
too.
remember.
Versus them punching a time clock, her having to calculate it.
And you just submit it every, whatever.
So it's a more of an online,
Yes.
yep, okay. Okay, so that would reduce, and then they also would take care of getting everybody their W-2s or I-9s or whatever that thing is at the end of the year,
Yes.
Track all of their.
all of that. So that would reduce the number of tasks that the treasurer would have to do on a weekly basis in as far as calculating the payroll and entering it all. Is that a fair assessment?
And we have, yeah, correct. And we have, another thing, we have different time clocks in different places. Some do it by the hundredth of it, some do it by the minute, on a 60-minute basis, some do it by hundreds. So Depending on which time card you're looking at, you gotta figure out, some will take a while to calculate the actual minutes that somebody worked.
Yes, I know, that's why I'm asking if we could go to a more automated
More automated, for sure.
system so that she does not have to manually say, oh, that was, okay, it's, 9:08, let me round up to the 52.3.
Like, exactly.
Okay.
It's crazy.
So that's a 2025 initiative, I'll say, to get that payroll
And I mean,
stood up.
I'm 99% sure they have it. If they don't, there are companies that, there are very inexpensive, like $20 a month up to 150 employees. I know I use one called My Time Station.
Mm-hmm.
Any iPhone, iPad, any tablet, you can mount it where your time clock goes. You can print everybody a QR code and they use that.
They just use that. Yep.
Some can use your thumb.
There's a whole bunch of them out
There's all
there.
kinds of them, and that is really, really inexpensive for an automated time clock. And print the report, it's done, it's to the minute of work.
Well, right, because now instead of, and I'm just gonna pick on Vinny, because he's got such a crowd up there, instead of him sitting down and approving individual, now he can approve one sheet, look down it, scan it, and send it off and approve it. And now it's taking him 10 minutes, so it's versus 30, because he's looking at it, flipping it over, looking at it,
Well, he's actually calculating the time cards and putting the hours.
Yeah.
And
Well, I
the
think
treasurer
it's
confirms them.
Confirms
track of
them.
his own,
And
like,
he wants to keep
UPL
his
and
own,
everything for his own.
Right. This would definitely help him in
streamline the whole
administration.
thing for everybody.
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay. But, okay, so that's a 2025 initiative, and I'm sure the treasurer will be, as well as the department heads, will be right in the middle of that conversion. So, okay. Any questions over these articles? Anything additional? Oh, I have a question. Somebody said that you were bringing the auditor in
Correct.
November. Is it possibility just to be a fly on the wall in that meeting, to listen to what they have to say?
Well, I think he's actually gonna spend, I don't think, it's not just gonna be like to come in and chat.
No, I know.
He's gonna actually come in and work with the treasurer
Uh-huh.
and spend some time. We never did, an interim audit between treasurers, so, and quite frankly, we asked him, he said, at that time, he said, you really don't need to. That was his decision, not ours, because we did ask him, and he said, unless you think there's something we need to be looking for, irregularities or whatever, then he said done, so they didn't. Also, the other thing is, we're forever getting down to the last minute in getting his report in this, whatever. So,
Mm-hmm.
he said by coming in November, they can, there are some areas that we want looked at. Some capital accounts, some reserve accounts, some postings that may need to be adjusted. We want to make sure those are all accurate, because there are some big accounts that were transitioned between the previous treasurer
Yeah,
and the current treasurer that may have slipped through the cracks. So we want to start with them looking at all of those. They're going to go over, they're going to take 3 to 5 years of town reports and look at everything that was appropriated and make sure it was truly appropriated where it went, where it was supposed to come from. For instance, I can't guarantee, but as part of the fire station, we were supposed to take $135,000, I believe, or 100, so either 100 or 135 out of the ambulance, the rescue building account,
mm-hmm.
to put towards the fire station. Now, that's a particular, that one not only has to be a journal entry,
Has to be an adjusting entry on the ledger.
but that one actually has to be an actual cash movement,
Mm-hmm.
because that's the only one, the only separate accounts we have,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, we haven't really investigated, I'm sure we could find it if we look, but we're not sure that that was ever done the way it's supposed to be done. So we want all those things to be looked at, so that we can at least, especially if coming off of the fire station with a big project and moving a bunch of money from different funds, we want to make sure that they were entered correctly in the Trio and all the accounting software, and we want to make sure that if the monies were physically supposed to be moved, they were moved.
So, a couple of things. One, I can tell you that your Article 2 and 3 for the fire station that we voted on to move the money is not in your town reports. I physically had to go to Dee Dee to get that.
No, it is. I have to pull out a town report all the time.
It's-
The ones from November
But 2022 are not on, they're not in your town report, John.
I don't gave it to Julie a week ago, right?
I had to go to Dee Dee to get it
In 2023,
in 2022.
but the
And
20,
in addition, I have found errors in the audit report, and I have found errors in the general ledger, looking at base things. So that's why I'm asking, if I'm finding errors, for me, it's like, okay, what are we doing? Like, for example, I can tell you that we voted to move $272,000, and $278,000 was moved. Where's the other $6,000 that the taxpayers did not authorize to move
For the fire station,
for the fire station?
out of the.
So it was 150, right, out of the undesignated, and then it was,
Let me see if I can.
so I actually have them here, I think, because I was playing around with trying to figure out your debt services. And I had to go to Dee Dee to get the November 8th, 2022. You're transferring 150,000 from the unassigned. You're transferring 122 from the rescue billing. You're transferring 30,000 from franchise and 75,000 from code.
All right,
So-
hold on a second. Before you go into that, this is the 2022 annual town report,
Yeah?
special town meeting, November 8th,
It was not on the one online.
okay?
it's a special town meeting though.
Yes, I know, but it was not on the one online
It's,
that I
special town meeting.
I know, this is the one I got from Dee Dee.
all right,
And Dee Dee actually admitted that she had to go pull it because she couldn't.
so this is a,
So maybe it's, I just looked in the 2002 annual report, and the rest of the special town meetings results are missing. I only show Article 1. I would say that is why you couldn't find it. That was on September 12th, when I was looking, because I couldn't find it.
What page was it?
So if you take the 30 and the 75, that's the 105. If you take the 150 and the 122, that's 272, not 278. That's why I'm,
online, page
I was gonna say,
74,
it is on there.
page 74 of the 2022 town report,
okay, then it's been,
it's there, whatever. At this point,
it's there now.
it's there now.
Well, I was
It's
just
there
gonna
now.
say, you can see, I mean, that went online on March 4th, 2023 was the PDF, so it hasn't been changed.
So there's other articles with the debt with the debt article, Article 3, I think. There were more articles to that. Special town meeting. There's Article 2, Article 3, Article 4, are they all there? Yeah.
For the fire station?
Article 5, Article 6, yeah, there was, so Article 3 is the debt services article that the lawyer recommended we put in. Remember, you had to go to the lawyer? So that's Article 3, that same day. Article 4 is the transfer of the $25,000 for the rescue billing to put towards the loan payment. Is that in your book? Article 5 is the lockbox ordinance Article 6 is the elect, the warrant articles. So,
So no, you're correct, this page is Article 1 and Article 2 only.
yeah, so there were
What's on
seven,
that?
there were 8 articles total voted on that special town meeting.
So that's the type of stuff we're gonna have him look at.
But if he's looking at those reports, he would never know about the $25,000 for rescue billing, because it's not in your report. And so if you look, John, if I go to the general ledger detail, okay, I can see her moving 105 in, okay? The 105 is the 30 and the 75.
Yeah,
And then I see her moving 278 in, which 278, we only authorized 272, which is the 150 and the 122.
okay, so that could be
Oops, a gift,
just an
pennies from heaven, I call it. But
just a common mistake.
just a common mistake,
Sometimes, yeah.
but yeah, so I was trying to prove out the debt services. That's what prompted me to look at some of this, is the budget you guys have submitted for debt services.
For next year.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know that we've even, he should be sending it any day now, but we did ask for the bank to provide a statement on what the new payment will be.
Okay.
Once the $1.8 million is paid off.
I know, you got it.
And so when I go to the 2002 audit report, okay, what I don't see is this money coming into the capital reserve. So if you go to your town audit report for 2022, you'll see the 799, right? And then you'll see the 156,702 coming out, which is fine, I see that. And I know what those expenses are. I don't see, even though we voted on this in November, I do not see this coming into the capital fire station account in 2022 in your end-of-year auditing reports. So how did this article get missed by the auditor and the town treasurer and everybody else? So those are some of the questions.
That's a question for them. Yeah.
That's a question. That's why I'm saying I just would kind of like to be a fly on the wall, because somebody should have brought this to his attention that we voted on that in November, so that the end of the year entries were correcting and done from 2022.
I mean, ideally, that when this passed on November 8th,
Mm-hmm.
the next day, all those entries should have been made.
Should have been made
Within a few days.
within a few days, within a week.
They should have been made. Now, if they were, they were. If they weren't, they weren't. If they were done incorrectly, they weren't. But now it's time to go back and take, that's what we're asking to scrutinize
Mm-hmm.
and correct them. And he said if we have to restate for previous years, we'll restate for previous years and move on. But he did say that the hope was that coming in now will also speed up and get them a jump start on finishing out next year.
Well, and we're going to need to know the unassigned if we're going to talk about capital, right?
Yeah.
So where that lands.
Yeah, the other, I guess the really positive part of that is the capital account is being funded nicely right now from land sales.
Mm-hmm.
So if we have to do some capital projects, we may not have to touch the unassigned, right? If we have the money coming in from these land sales, I think we've taken in, I think they're supposed to close one yesterday, somewhere around $60,000 between the two. There's gonna be a couple more happening before the end of October. I mean, it's gonna be several $100,000.
Right.
So
Right.
ideally, we can do capital projects from the capital account without touching.
Well, and honestly, now that this project is done, we should be closing out the fire station capital account, right?
Yes.
It should be closed out, done, and zeroed.
Yes, there are some journal entries that need to be fixed.
Yes.
I know that there were some equipment items bought for the new building that got put in the regular fire department operations
Yep,
budget.
Vinnie told us about
So
those.
those need to be adjusted. I think we need to look at the, we did have some excess debt service. We figured the debt service into the original budget,
Mhm.
so mostly, but we had a little more, but nothing has come out of that debt service line. We allocated $100,000, it still sits at $100,000.
Oh, okay. I have to look at that, because I thought,
I'm pretty sure it still says $100,000, or at one point it did,
okay.
unless she started.
I think she started taking some of that money.
Okay, maybe she, because it should have been.
I think in August and September, October, she started taking some of that.
She could have, so that makes sense to come out there. But there should be, knock on wood, $100,000 to put back into the, where it goes back, we'll have to decide, because it came from so many different pots.
Right.
That there's now gonna be there should be $100,000 that wasn't even touched. So if that's the case, that's where we end up. We have to decide who gets that back, because you see all the places it came from.
Yeah, I'd like to see that 100,000.
You'd like to see
I'd like to see why you think there's 100,000. We'll talk about that.
Well, like the voters approved 4.759. We agreed to enter into contracts
Mm-hmm,
for the building and equipment
mm-hmm.
not to exceed 4.979995 million. So, call it 5 million, it's, what is it, $18,000 under 5 million?
5 million,
Okay,
easy.
5 million. The contract with Great Falls was 4.754.
Mm-hmm,
We did not go over, we were under by 3,000. In the final draw in the end. The additional $200,000 was for furnishings and another contingency. Great Falls contract of 4.754, whatever, had contingency in it. We used that pluses and minuses along the way. Some things we took away, some things we put on.
mm-hmm. Yep, change order.
We were able to handle the change orders in the contingency budget line that they had. So the 100 that we put aside for contingency never got touched.
Just reading through, I have $5.2 million in expenses. So I can share with you what I have, so that you can see. It doesn't matter, it'll all shake out in the end, but I don't show that there was anything left that I, basically, and I have my expenses broken out by year, so.
Well, here's the question. Were some of those previous expenses to the 4.9 million getting approved? Because we used money,
You used 272,000.
engineering and stuff before the 4.9 million.
Yeah, that came out of the 1.1 million, the 799 you had in capital.
But my question is, are those part of your expenses? If they are, it would make sense.
They are part of my expenses, but so isn't the 800,000 that you had in, or the 1.1 million you had in capital, in cash. Between, you had 799,000, plus you transferred all this money in, giving you a $1.1 million cash.
Well, when we transferred in, we had 619 left.
Yeah, because you used 272 of that.
Correct.
It,
Yeah, I mean, I guess if the expenses, what was approved are 4.979995,
mhm.
whatever we spent before that is above and beyond the cost of that building.
Right, so what I'm doing is costing the entire project. So I was looking at, what did the townspeople put in for cash, which was in your capital account? and then taking all of your expenditures as well. Not including, so we can, it doesn't matter, we can figure it out,
The
but,
loan, I believe, is 3.5 million,
yep,
okay? So we know we have a 3.5 million dollar loan.
3.7 actually, between the two journal entries.
I think the total approves, I don't know if, we'll have to look, I got the total loan amount was 3.5 million. But don't know.
I think the paper says 3.75,
It's 3.7,
right?
3,706,000
I'm
is
pretty
what,
sure that.
is what you took. Oh, which, let me say this, that's the amounts that the journal entries say loan from Partners Bank, so.
Yeah, that number, I mean, I'm pretty sure I've seen that on the part of the paper.
Or we can, you know, it's
Just millions.
it's dynamics, it's just, you know,
Well, ideally, and bring the auditor in and
Yep.
putting some other lines into it, we'll know exactly what we spent up there to the penny, and that the money was moved appropriately, and if there's money to move back, we move it back, and if there's,
whatever it shakes out to be, the building's done and up and operating, so.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, anything else, ladies? Entertain a motion to adjourn.
I will second that motion.
All right, good night, everyone.